Hey everyone, today we have Aakriti, a top 5 contributor at SnowScript of Code 2025. Out of 400 plus participants as a B.Tech IT student at IGDTUW, she has excellent open source contribution through SOC 2025 by GDG IGDTUW. She is here to share her journey, challenges and tips for getting started in open source. So stay tuned. So, Akriti, can you briefly introduce yourself and share your journey, how you started your journey in open source?
Yes, everybody. My name is Aakriti Rajhans. I'm a first year student at IGDTUW and their ID branch. My first introduction with open source was last year in October with the Girl Script Summer of Code. It was in their extended version. This happened when I came across a lot of posts on LinkedIn about the Girl Script Summer of Code, and I was really excited, also curious to know what this was. So I did a lot of research on this about what open source is in general, and that is when I came to know about it. A week or so later, I discovered that the applications for the extended version were out. So I went ahead and applied to it, and as after that, I received a result in a week, and I got in. So there I was introduced to all things about open source. They were really supportive, and that is how I started with it.
Okay, very nice. And many people hear about open source but don't know where to start in the beginning.
Mm.
How should a beginner start to take the first step?
Okay, so starting with open source can be a little challenging for a beginner, especially like I faced a lot of difficulties. But finding a supportive environment is really important. Since I came across the Girl Script Summer of Code and then GDG IGDTW conducted their open source contribution competition. So the people there were really supportive. You could find a group like that. Another thing, you could do it on your own as well. There are a lot of resources, a lot of YouTube videos on this, so you could refer to those. This could be a great help. The very first step would be to learn GitHub, since it is a little complex for someone who's initially beginning it. So learn the basic commands about GitHub and find a few projects, easier ones. One way to do this is there are labels on these GitHub projects. So few labels are like this is a good first issue, a beginner friendly issue. You could use those to navigate and contribute to those specific projects. Also, you know what your tech stack is, so use that. Use what tech stack you are comfortable with, and that is going to help a lot.
Okay. And what are some common misconceptions people have about the open source and GitHub?
About GitHub, a lot of people, matlab, I have said that as well, but people assume that it is only for the people who are really good at coding. That is not the case. Even beginners can start with easier issues, and only when you start, you are going to reach the end. You are going to achieve a really nice goal. So starting is important. Another thing is people assume that GitHub is for just for coding. So that is not the case. There are several projects which are solely UI based. So what you could do there is you could enhance the UI. You could also be testing bugs. There are other fields as well where you could contribute to GitHub projects when contributing to open source. So that is one misconception. Other than that, one could think when they are working on an issue, they could make some mistakes and that would cause a problem. So that is not really the case. At least with the people I have worked, they were really kind. I must tell you, anytime I did a mistake, they were like, "No, Akriti, ऐसे please, ऐसे करो आप ये वाली चीज fix करो." So people help you out there, and it's easy when the people are supportive. So हो जाता है, no worries.
Okay.
इतनी टेंशन नहीं लेनी है, just start with something.
Yes, that is
Yes.
absolutely right. And so basically, what is GitHub and how does it help in contributing to open source projects?
Okay, so GitHub, when it comes to open source project, is a platform where you can contribute, you can collaborate with a lot of people on a combined project. You can work at different parts of it, at the different parts of the project, And with that you could make changes. If you find any issue, if you want to add a new feature to it, you could do that at GitHub. And what happens is you create a copy of the code, so you have the copy of the project. The actual main project is not hampered in this case. And you make your changes, you ask the maintainers if these changes are what they want in their project, and if they like it they would merge it with their actual project. So that is how it works.
What are some key GitHub concept beginners should know in their starting of the journey?
Yes, so if you are starting really early, what you should know is that GitHub has really well documented features about what all it has to present. There are a lot of features that one needs to know to initially start contributing. Few of them are like repository. What is a repository? Then how do you fork it? What is a fork? And what are issues? All of these. So starting with repositories, the repository is a file of all the codes that you have created. See, when in a web development project you have the HTML files, the CSS files, the JavaScript files. A lot of files are created even in a React program. So in that case all the files together are called a repository. And what you have to do is, there are issues. The issues could be created by the maintainers. This is generally done when they want to get a issue fixed, or when they want it to be a learning for the people who are contributing. So issues are created, they could be by the maintainers. You could fix those, or you could raise your own issue where you want to fix certain things, and the maintainer would approve if they want to get this issue fixed. So you could do that. Then what is forking a repository? Forking is when you create a copy of the repository in your own GitHub profile, and there you can edit your code. Other than that, pull requests are when you edit a code, when you make changes and you want to send it to the maintainers to verify if these are fine with the maintainers, with the project, these are aligned with them. So you create a pull request, you describe what all you have changed, you may attach a few pictures of what changes you have made, you commit the message, you commit a message. A commit is when you describe what changes you have made. So all of that happens and you create a pull request which may or may not be approved by the maintainers. If not approved, they usually maintainers tend to send feedback for that. That happens. Other than that, you could also clone it to your own local machine. Say people used to tend to use VS Code. So VS Code, you could clone it to VS Code and then make changes. You could run it on your local machine, and then you could push it back to GitHub and create the pull request. So that is one way. That
Okay.
is how these
So these are
features.
some key GitHub concept that beginners should know in starting of their journey. So can you share some beginner friendly resources to learn GitHub?
The career friendly resources, there are mainly YouTube tutorials. Then I also recently, when I was researching up for this video, for this interview, I came across certain platforms which provide good first issues and that are very beginner friendly. So you could visit those. If you don't mind, I could provide a link of
Yes,
a
sure.
drive link where I could attach all of these, so you could share it in the description.
Okay, fine.
That works. Yes.
Hmm. So can you mention some names of where student can find these resources on YouTube?
On YouTube there's free code camp, that is what I refer to. Also, when I was contributing to the GDG IGDTUW open source contribution, they provided a lot of resources, so I could link that. There are these videos. Then also, other than that, the GitHub documentation itself, they describe all the commands, they give all the codes that you are supposed to use, all the features. So that could be
So how should a beginner find a good open source project to contribute to?
a good open source project as a beginner. So what you can do is, obviously the tags I have said, the labels like a good first issue, beginner friendly, these could be used. These are found in your explore section on GitHub. You could search for these and there you find such issues. Other than that, when you visit a project, what you see is if the maintainers are active, if any commits have been made recently, if the maintainer is active, they would respond to your issue, they would respond to your questions. So that is a nice way to check if it is a working good project. Other than that, check for the stars. like there is a star feature on GitHub. So if a lot of people have started this, means that the project is a very nice working project where people are contributing actively. So you could find such projects to contribute to.
Okay, and what are some easy first contribution that beginner can make?
Easy first contributions depends a lot on the tech stack that you know. For a beginner, easy AI, easy UI
Can you explain
enhancements.
what is tech stack for the beginners?
Okay, tech stack is, say I know web development, I know a little bit of DSA, also C++. So these are the languages that you know, the things that you specialize in. Say AIML and React, Node.js. These are called your tech stacks.
Okay, and continue.
Yes. So this is the tech stack, and know what your tech stack is. Find such projects. That is the key. Okay, yes, we were talking about first easy first contributions, fixing typos and all of this. Say a feature is not working, say a link is not working, or say a website has a feature but it does not react to the feature. So these are things that you could raise a issue about and contribute.
Mistake did you make in your early open source journey that beginner should avoid?
Mistakes, I would say these are some precautions that you should take, like reading the documentation that comes with the project. All Mostly all projects have the readme file wherein people explain what the project is, how it works, where it can be run, and what one is supposed to contribute and in what way. So read through those, don't miss those. Know the maintainers, know the people behind the project well. Also, feel free to talk to the maintainers if you need any help. Don't hesitate. Another thing would be, don't panic, don't overthink things. Like, don't be afraid of doing any mistakes. That is it.
Okay, and how can contributing to open source help in landing internships and job opportunities?
So how it helps in career is, you get to prove that you have worked on real projects where people are actively involved in it. Another thing is, it helps build a strong portfolio. In a resume where people would just list down their skills, you could add a link to your GitHub profile and actually prove that you have been contributing on certain projects that require certain skills, and people would know that you are proficient in those skills. So that is one way. Other than that, the programs in open source, some of them are really nice, like the Google Summer of Code, the applications for which are out now. What they do is, you don't become a Google employee immediately, but what happens is you work for them and you contribute to the projects that actually hold value. You also get paid a stipend, so you don't have to go to the office, obviously, but you get to work for Google eventually. Other
Okay.
than that, I also know of other programs. I keep seeing it on my LinkedIn. So other programs also help you get internships at certain organizations. So that is how it helps you.
Okay. Any additional thing that you want to mention in this meeting and which you would like to?
Okay. So additionally, for a beginner, what I would want you to do is, please start. Okay. I have asked my friends, when I started with open source, I was also consistently asking my friends, please start Kallo, please start Kallo. Some of them did, some of them did not. And why, okay, if you do, it is going to help you in some way or the other. So start doing it. Don't hesitate. Don't overthink. It will only be a learning experience for you. Also, just do it. It will help you somewhere. So
Okay, that's great
mm,
advice.